All right, guys. So, what is a reframe? So, a reframe is offering the prospect a different perspective and getting them to buy into that new belief. Think of it like they have a cause and effect assumption in their head, and your job is to reverse their logic. And the key word here is, a key phrase is them buying into that new belief. Because a man convinced against his will is of the same belief still, right? I heard that from one of the coaching that I did, someone called Aaron from Eli Wild's program, and that stuck with me ever since. And every time I speak with coaches, anytime I work with people, I always tell them that analogy and that quote because it's very, very powerful and it's true. You can't convince people to make a change if they don't believe it. We all know that. Addicts stay addicts. They can go to rehab, they can get all this change they want, but if they don't want to change it, they don't want to change their belief, they will stay an addict. It's the same for everything in life. So we have to help people on these calls reverse their logic. Now, people might not be an addict, depends what offer you're on. Maybe they might be, but in this offer that we're in, it typically is losing weight. Some people might be addicted to fast food, addicted to sugar, right? Some people are so much, maybe not addicted to something, but they're in the mindset and in the belief that they can't make a change, that they're not worthy. They might be depressed, they might have low self-esteem, they might be really, really down, and they don't believe that they can even make a change, right? So if they're in that state of mind where they don't believe in themselves, they're gonna think, if I once I get the time, I can do it. Once I get the money, I can do it. Once I'm more confident, once I have more belief, then I'll invest in my health. Then I'll get started. But that's not the case. We all know this. Every successful person, everyone that has done something that was worthy of their time, something that is great, had to push through adversity, had to get confident, had to get more time, had to get more energy as a result of doing the necessary action. They got what they wanted. They got the benefits, the emotional improvement, the mindset change because they did it. It was a result of investing, not something that they found before they invested. Right? They took the leap of faith and the results came. So an example, right? The prospect thinks that they can wait for confidence, then they take action. Guess what happens? They wait forever, right? They end up never taking action. But the reality is, right, if you take action now, you will build confidence. They're supposed to understand that it's going to be hard, that it's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a challenge that will turn them into a better person, a challenge that will allow them to be more confident, a challenge that will transform their life, right? But they have to go through the hardship. So it's super important that we reframe the prospect's mind that the hardship is good. This is what makes them a better person. The same way when they're in the gym and they're breaking down their muscles so their muscles can get stronger, right? They have to go through the hardship and they have to see the hardship as good, as positive. Otherwise, when you actually ask them to take that step and to push themselves and they realize that, oh shit, it's actually real, all of the confidence disappears and they run away from the pain because they still don't think they're ready. So when a prospect says to you, "Oh, yeah, I need to wait for the confidence," or like, I'm just not ready yet." Like, what you, this is a nice rebuttal you can say, which is, when in your life has confidence come before you did something scary, or did it come after you pushed through and did it anyway? Everyone will answer that question, or everyone will understand that mindset and that thought process and agree because it's true. There's literally nothing in life that we've never done before that we just did it without feeling nervous. But once you do it, you realize it wasn't that hard. And once you continue to do it, continuously build that consistency, build that pan, guess what? It gets easy. Then once it gets easy, that's when you get confident. It's just a cycle of life. Another example, right? The too busy objection, right? The prospect says, I'm too busy, it doesn't take action. So guess what happens? They stay unhealthy, they continue to have less energy, and because they're too busy, they continue to focus on not doing the thing they need to do. So they actually get busier on the other stuff. Then they continue to say, I'm too busy. The cycle just repeats. And the cycle is repeats is because being too busy is exactly why they're in their position, because they keep avoiding doing what they need to do, right? They keep getting busy with miscellaneous, stupid, wasted time tasks. And most of the time, they're not even busy. They're just mismanaging their time, right? And they put themselves into that mindset. And that's why we're saying in this training, like reframing is so important because they don't not have time. They just believe they don't have the time because they're choosing to do something else. It's all good choice, but it's a subconscious choice because they've been doing it for so long, they don't even realize they're wasting their own time. So another line that you can say to people when they say they're busy is, "You're busy. I get it. You can acknowledge it. You can validate it. But here's what I'm hearing. Being too busy is exactly why you're in this position in the first place, right? Because if you can figure this out while you're busy, imagine how easy it will be when things slow down. But if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll be having the same conversation a year from now, which is the same conversation you had last year. Can't you see that? Can't you see the cycle that you're in? It keeps repeating. You need to make these leads aware of the cycle because they are doing it subconsciously. They don't even realize that they're putting themselves in this box. They think life is against them, but in reality, it's them versus themselves. And we have to make them realize that. So, how do we do this? The way we reframe the question, answer, acknowledge loop. Here's the structure. Stop talking, start asking. Essentially, simple, straight to the point. So you get them to articulate the problem, let them speak and commit, validate, then ask again, and only after they reframe themselves, statement. Right? Question, answer, acknowledge, statement. So here are here it is in action. Right? A prospect says, I just need to think about it and maybe look at some other options. So a weak response, well, an average closer would say, I understand, but you've been struggling with this for 10 years. You should really just get started now. Well, and the lead closer will say, you mentioned you've been training on your own for 10 years and that led to an injury, right? Yeah, it did. So in 10 years of figuring out yourself, it's why you got injured. What do you think another few weeks of looking around is going to change? Well, it's not going to change anything. And then the prospect would be, well, it's not going to change anything, blah, blah, blah. But as a closer, you need to jump in and say, exactly. Before he says any other bullshit or she says any bullshit, they say, yeah, it won't change anything, but exactly, it won't change anything. And then you can go into the statement of what needs to be said to get them to take ownership of what's going on and then push them to make the decision they need to make as opposed to making excuses. Because you're letting them know you're not taking their bullshit, but you're letting them say out loud so that they're saying it verbally where it's like they sound stupid. They sound stupid and they realize it. They're like, damn, yeah, you know what? You're right. You reframe them, they agree. And now they're in a way more in a position to buy your whatever we're selling, whatever we're offering, because they realize that you're correct and they're wrong and they need to make a change. So the golden rule, never make more than three statements in a row. If you're not asking a question, you're lecturing and they're tuning out, right? So key takeaways, a reframe reverses their faulty cause and effect logic. Cause and effect. We need to break that, reverse it. Use the questions to guide them. Don't just tell them. Number three, the Q&A, the question answer acknowledgement, also the question acknowledgement answer loop keeps them engaged and just committed. And they should be convincing themselves, not listening to a lecture, right? They're not at university, they're not at school, that you're not a teacher, you're a coach. A coach teaches, a coach guides. A coach doesn't just word vomit, right? Because they don't want that, right? If they just wanted someone to word vomit and not be able to engage, they would just go on YouTube, watch someone talk to them for 20 minutes and then they can just take the information. They want to interact, they want to learn, they want to be coached. So if we don't use the the reframing mentality, where we're not giving them the experience that they want, and when they don't get the experience that they want, they don't buy. Remember, they come here to be coached. So that is reframes. Hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next one.